Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Jack Out of the Box. In this week's episode, I have Scott Stark joining me to explore his experiences that I think you guys will get a kick out of.
G'day, Jack. How are you, mate?
Good. We've kind of already said hello. He was on shift this morning, telling me out of bed. But yeah, good morning, Scott. So I think I haven't known Scott for all that long, but I feel like we know each other pretty well now. So he's sort of been around the block on jobs for his life. So I thought he might like to let us know some of the stuff he's done.
Well, we started talking about this the other day, and then I didn't work particularly hard at school. I actually turned up an hour and a half late to one of my HSC exams, so that was probably shows you how my school career went. So I finished up applying for lots of jobs at the end of my HSC many, many years ago, and then I worked at the Commonwealth Bank and then proceeded to work at 3 banks. At that time, I also worked part-time as a bouncer, bartender, cutting meat for a spit roast company. So by the time I was 25, I was then married with a child and I'd probably worked about a dozen jobs. Then I got out of banking at about 28. I bought a corner shop. We had that for about 6 or 7 years, and that was involved about 90 hours a week. And at that stage, I reflected that I wished I would have worked a little bit harder at school because it wasn't particularly enjoyable. I then got out of that in my early 30s, did a little bit of security work again. I also worked in a fish market. So during summer, it's great. A fish market on the harbour near the beach, happy days. During winter, about 7 degrees, you're wearing gumboots, not nice. Also unloaded boats, went on trawlers, did all sorts of stuff. Then I went to Aldi as a store manager and had 3 stints at Aldi where I worked for 2 years, left, worked for 2 years, left, worked for 2 years and left and never come back. In between that, I worked probably my shortest job, which was at Bunnings, and I was there for 3 days. I realised that when you're not handy, working in a hardware store is probably not the place for you. So I jumped back to the fish market. I then got particularly sick about 10 years ago, spent a bit of time in hospital, had to learn how to walk again. And at that stage, I said, that's it. I'm going to get a decent job. After about 29 or 32 different jobs I think I'd had at that stage, and I've been in disability support worker ever since. So that's my job history in a nutshell.
Yeah, so the last one's kind of how he ended up meeting me and working with me to make sure I can live as independently as possible while at uni. So thanks, Scott, for that.
So, yeah, one of the things about, I guess I wanted to do something which was going to help others, something that I felt was useful, something that I thought I would actually be good at. So I volunteered with a company for about 6 months, and then after that they gave me a job, which was fantastic. But I was saying to Jack this morning that my brother and I obviously come from the same recipe, and he's got 3 degrees, a doctorate, earns bucket loads of money, and I wipe bums for a living. But I'm way more attractive, a lot funnier, and a lot happier. So I reckon I've chose the right career in the end. And so let's hear about the Jack story. How did you come about? How did you get to University of Wollongong?
So, I guess we'll start back, God, not as long as when you were a child, but a while, probably like 15 years. So as a kid, I was never that fast at running and stuff. Before I was diagnosed, I could do everything a regular kid could do. It was just maybe not as quick. But so yeah, I was playing footy and riding push bikes and all that stuff. And then my calf muscles were a bit larger than my classmates and stuff, but that was, again, nothing mum and dad or worried about, and I was 5, so I didn't. But then a couple of years after that, I was about, I think I was probably almost 8. I came off a motorbike and broke my collarbone. So that was sort of not great. And then through the recovery of that, I'd started relying on other ways to get up and stuff, like off the floor and all that sort of stuff. So then, after that had healed, I was sort of still getting up that way that I'd adapted to. And then one day, Mum and Dad noticed that I was walking around. I was standing up on my toes like all the time to walk around. And they were like, Jack, put your heels on the ground. Why are you walking like that? And I was just like, I am. Like, what do you want me to do? And then sort of through that time, I'd also been seeing a chiropractor. So we made an appointment with him and were like, Mum took me in and we, she got me to walk back and forth and show the chiropractor what was going on. And he was like, thanks for coming to see me, but I think this is out of my pay range. You better go and see someone else. We got an appointment with the local GP and went about it like that. And he sort of said the same thing. He was like, this is a bit, this is out of my realm of knowledge. So I'm not sure. I feel like then we probably this is a while ago and it was sort of something I'd never thought about remembering. So it's a bit fuzzy. But then I'm guessing we probably went to a pediatrician in Wagga and through that phase of stuff ended up at Sydney Children's Hospital in Randwick. That was about October when I was 8. Mum and Dad and I went up and stayed in the care by parent stuff at Sydney Kids. And sadly it was pretty bad. I was diagnosed with Duchenne muscular dystrophy when I was 8, which is a lot later than most people who get diagnosed with it. I could still walk around and most things were still pretty normal. Then everything sort of didn't go downhill, but just, so basically what happens, the protein that your muscles make or that your body makes to help you maintain your muscle and build more, my body doesn't make that enough to provide it. So basically, it's a degenerative condition. So my muscle capacity basically decreases all the time. Usually it's too slow for me to notice, but it does make it a bit awkward when I try to do something I did 6 months ago that I haven't had to do and then go, oh crap, guys, I need help. I can't do this. But that's why I have you guys. And I am very appreciative that we were able to find a good team of support workers to help me live my best life at uni. Then sort of school was altered quite a bit with that diagnosis, and it was sort of the end of primary school. I was still walking around and stuff, not great, but I could do it. And then I sort of phased into a manual chair where my mates would push me around at recess and stuff. And then when I was about 13, I was very reliant on a wheelchair and couldn't walk really at all. So in a local auction, these guys were selling a really basic power wheelchair that would mean I could move around by myself independently. And we got it, and that made school pretty easy. So because at that stage, we didn't have a wheelchair accessible vehicle, so it sort of stayed at school, and then I'd use a manual one at home, and then on the weekends it could the backrest could fold down. It could fit in the back of a car, so we could take it home for the weekend, which did make it a lot easier to live, because carpet and manual chairs do not really agree. So then we sort of just followed that, saw all the OTs and stuff and neurologists and all that regularly once a year. And then local paediatricians and OTs and physio throughout the year as well. And then eventually I was reliant on a wheelchair, so that's what happened. I got scripted to get a wheelchair, a power chair that was like fitted custom to me. And honestly, that they make life so much easier. It used to annoy me when I was like at school. People were always like, "Oh, that's so cool. Like you don't have to walk around and stuff." And I'm like, guys, just shut up. Like, you know how much I would, like, if I could swap you, I would. Like, you can have the wheelchair. So that's probably the biggest thing that's annoyed me in life. People like feeling like they want to be where I am. And I'm like, guys, don't say that. You don't know.
Well, that's sort of one of the inspirational things of actually getting to work with you, is I get to see what you have to go through every morning and every night just to function what we take for granted. It's just unbelievable. And the other amazing thing about that is you never whinge, you never complain. If it was happening to me, I would be kicking stones and carrying like the biggest pork chop, but you just don't complain and you just go about it. And sometimes, getting in and out of bed is quite the process, but you just go about it. And that, I guess that's the amazing thing about living in this country, that we have an NDIS scheme that's allowed you to live as normal life as possible, to go to uni. So you've at uni at Wollongong now. So what are you doing at uni? And is this your first year, second year?
So this year will be my third year at UOW in Wollongong. I've just transferred to study a Bachelor of Information Technology from a Bachelor of Computer Science. So sort of I've transferred to my sister subject sort of thing, which is good. I worked out in my first year that some of the programming stuff wasn't really what I wanted to do, but I really enjoyed web development and HTML and stuff like that. So when I found there was a web development major in IT, I was like, yeah, that's what I'm going to do. So I put my paperwork in and, I've got transferred to that. And I'm all enrolled to get started for semester 1, 2022.
And so how many years do you have to go before you graduate?
It's looking like probably 2 more years, but depending on how much, I'll obviously stay with the 3/4 load till the end, but it might be 2.5 years. I'm not sure, but I'll still be in the area then anyway.
And do you like uni life? Like, the only thing that I knew about the University of Wollongong was that it had a gym and a bar, which I've gone to both over the years.
They might be the most important parts. You asked whether I enjoyed it.
Yeah, do you like uni
life? What the life's like. COVID put a bit of a dent in on-campus life, but, at least I've been able to live basically on campus. I have had the good experience living here at Coolabong. Everyone's very supportive of me being a part of the community here, and I'm really proud to say that I can help build that community as volunteering as a resident ambassador here. It's really good to I think just give back to these guys. Like in my first year, they really did a lot to cater for me to live here. And I do feel like I'm repaying a bit, but really it's just good fun to get out there and help build the community here.
And I think that's one of your goals once you finish uni, isn't it? To try and basically build a career around making it easier for people with disabilities to actually study and do tertiary education.
Maybe not specifically tertiary education and stuff like that, but I just think life in general, like show everyone that needs extra care and stuff like that, that this stuff is possible. You can do whatever you want. Like, other than what you physically can't do, but that's logical. I think if you're mentally able to do whatever you put your brain to it, definitely go ahead and do it. Like, you won't be disappointed. As I said last episode, I knew I wanted to come to uni for like ages. Mum and Dad knew I wasn't going to be a farmer when I was like 2, so yeah, I'm living my life how I wanted to, and yeah, I hope other people with a situation similar to mine can do as well, because they definitely deserve it.
And for those people out there that have maybe, I don't know, looking at a career change, being a disability support worker is the greatest job that I've done. It's very rewarding. We've had some funny times. You have some trying times as well, but I love it. And Jack and I have a good laugh. Well, actually, we spend most of the time him laughing at me, but it works out, quite well, and it's very rewarding. So if you're looking at career change, you don't have to go to uni to be successful. That's my message. Jack might argue that, but that's from my perspective. So
no, I definitely wouldn't argue with that. I don't think there's a direct path for anyone. You just do what you feel is right for you, and that whether that means tertiary education or getting a trade or whatever, TAFE, anything, working at the supermarket, whatever. As long as you have a goal and you're working towards it, it doesn't matter what the goal is, just work towards something. With that, I think we'll move on to our next section. Scott's, as a father of 5 kids, he's had quite the life, and I think he might like to share some of the stories of his kid about his family with us.
Well, I'm just trying to think of the top 3 or 4 stories. I've got 2 boys and 3 girls. Probably one of the funny stories that we relive quite often is about our oldest daughter. When she was about 7 or 8, she hopped out of the shower. It was in the middle of winter, and she decided she wanted to get warm. So she's come right up near the gas heater, and she's put a bum on the grills on the gas heater, which has burnt a bum, and she looked like a patty in a Big Mac. So we then rang Wollongong Hospital. They said run her under the shower, which we did that for half an hour. So we did that. Everything was fine. She sat on a whoopee cushion, which was quite embarrassing for a kid in year 2. It's, and this, that and the other, and finally healed. About 2 or 3 months later down the track, she reenacted the story, laughing about it. Remember when I did this? And she did the same thing. She burnt her bum again in the same spot. Now, that is a true story. This same daughter, when she was about 2 or 3 years old, went through the cupboards and took a packet of Monte Carlo biscuits, opened them all, ate all the jam out of the middle of them and stuck them all back together, put them back in the packet, back in the cupboard. Our oldest son has had a few concussions. His best concussion was when they were playing golf in the backyard with him and his mate, Brendan, and they were swinging golf clubs. Brendan swung the club back, hit Matt in the head. Brendan then has walked up and said to my wife, "Matt's dead." Obviously, he wasn't. He was just knocked out in the backyard. I could go on, but I think I don't want to bore you. But yeah, kids give you lots of challenges, but they also give you a lot of rewards as well. So,
yeah. Seeing some of the things you've done here, it's not hard to see where they get it from. But I suppose at least you give them some entertainment too.
Well, recently I was actually this was last year, we were getting Jack ready in the morning and I was working and my phone rang. It was one of the kids, so I ignored it. It rang again. I thought, well, they rang twice quickly. I better. My middle daughter has said, Sam's just smashed a window. The disturbing thing about that, if they've sent a video of the window being smashed, but the ball had got jammed in between the screen and the glass. The disturbing thing was Sam was putting his hand through the glass trying to get the ball out, and this jagged glass is like Jack and I are going, no, don't be doing that. So, yeah, just a warning out there, don't worry about the ball. If you smash the window, move on.
Yeah, that sounds like some good advice coming from you anyway, for once.
Thanks.
So then, I mean, I did just say it's not hard to see where they get it from. So shall we move on to your antics at work sometimes?
Well, one of my great party tricks is when I have a shower, when I shower Jack, is that I actually finish up more wet than he does. But that's because he doesn't make life easy for me. I'm blaming him. But we have a competition here who does the stupidest things, but it just seems to be a competition between me and another guy. But I think he's winning, isn't he?
At the moment, yeah, but I think your story still takes the cake on being the most funny. So this was sometime last year anyway. I needed washing hung up, so Scott had gone. I've got like a little courtyard area here with a washing line. So he'd gone out there, and then it wasn't like cold weather, so I didn't think he would be closing the door. But then I heard the door close, and then I heard another click, and I was like, I just thought to myself quietly, I was like, he didn't just lock himself outside, did he? And then, anyway, so you probably take your part now.
Well, I hung the washing up, and then I've gone to go back in, and I'm locked out in this courtyard, and I can't do anything. I'm pulling on the door, and I'm knocking on the door, and like Jack's just going like, what do you want me to do about it? Now, my take on this is that I think Jack's actually faked his disability. He's got up and locked it just to lock me out there. But then we're stuck. What do? Jack can't move. He can't use his hands. He can't open the latch, blah, blah, blah. So I was going to try and climb this fence. The problem with that, it's got spikes on it, and I'm 51, overweight and not particularly agile, so that wasn't going to work. So Jack, being the brains of the operation, has rang Matt, who actually works here as well, lives upstairs, and he come and saved the day. But it was, it was pretty funny.
It was very funny, but I mean, you're still scared of that door. You don't.
No, I don't. I'll never shut that door ever again because I think it's a ghost. That was not cool. Like, yeah, what do? You're stuck out there and you're there. It's like, yeah, we laugh about it now, but at the time it was like, oh no, what are we going to do? But, you know, that's the joys of working, and you do stuff that, you know, I've been in disabilities for 10 years and I've done things that, I don't know, should I tell the story about having to shave and trim up a man's balls? So, you know, a couple of years ago I was requested by the family if we could do a little bit of grooming downstairs, and I don't know if you've ever reflected in your life. I'm downstairs with scissors and doing some male grooming, trying to move the anatomy around to get this done. And I had this epiphany that what would my mum be saying looking down from heaven thinking, what the hell have you done with your life? You're 49 years old and you're holding a man's balls, shaving around it. And at that stage, I did actually reflect and wished I worked a little bit harder at school, but we got through it, and I haven't been requested to do that again. So life moves on.
Yeah, I think, I mean, I definitely don't work in the industry, but I do participate in it. I think, yeah, you can have some challenging bits where you sort of go, why am I doing this? But yeah, you're essentially giving the other person or helping the other person have the life they want to live. And I think that's really important because, I mean, people with disabilities haven't asked for it. Like they generally didn't get it on purpose. So I think, that you're part of the community that can help give those people a life that they want is really good.
Well, and supports you to make a difference, and we, it's funny, we go to a trivia night each Wednesday night and we go with like 5 or 6 guys that are at uni and are pretty smart. And we had a team of 9 that played a few weeks ago and we got beaten by a team of 1. So, but we do have a laugh and it's fun, but we're not particularly good at trivia.
Yeah, I think so. There's trivia that runs at the uni bar here in Wollongong every week. So yeah, we're kind of weekly regulars at that. We've won once, and I reckon I've been there like probably 30 times.
I wasn't there that night.
Well, that was before I met you, so that might be why we haven't won since. Yeah, but we all get together, have a good laugh, have a couple of drinks, have dinner. It's a good time. So then we don't really have anything else to talk about, do we?
I've probably said all I need to say.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I know you have more you would want to say, but
it's probably best I don't.
Maybe. Yeah, but anyway. Yeah, thank you for joining me today. Thanks for working with me too. Helping me.
It's a pleasure, mate. The pleasure is all mine. You're a pleasure to work with, and we do have a great team, and you actually inspire me every day because when I start whinging about little things, it pales into insignificance as to what you have to go through. And as I said before, you don't whinge, you don't complain, you just get on with it. It's inspiring. So kudos to you, big man.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for being so keen to join me on the podcast. I hope you guys have enjoyed listening to Scott's a bit eventful life. I know I enjoy staying up to date with it every day when he's here. Yeah, but I'm Jack, and you've been listening to Jack Out of the Box, episode 2, featuring Scott Stark. Return next week to find out who I have on next then. Thank you.